Yes, back again. One last match potentially for Group B. It's going to be OpTic versus Na'Vi. Going to have some of the other matches going on side by side. Figure out later if the potential tiebreaker matches are going to come back into things. But before we begin, before we dive too deep into it, ESL Play Open is occurring on June 16th. If you guys want to get in on the action, if you guys want to check it out, esl.gg/CSGO-Summer17. You guys can check it all out, get all the information there, sign up to have some fun, play some Counter-Strike.
Dash and slash action?
Yeah, dash and slash. It's good stuff, isn't it?
Always best.
How are we doing, boys? We've traded out Chad for
Yeah,
for
traded our resident Australian, got our Serbian back in.
Yeah, had some fun. Watched 24 in the break, the best TV show
Jack
of
Bauer.
all time.
Really is, yeah.
One eye on Jack Bauer, other eye on the games, but yeah. Seems
Always
like
got to keep an eye on Jack Bauer.
Things are a bit more clear-cut in Group B, at least. North already securing first seed, Mouseport securing the second seed, and now it's all about that third seed.
Yeah.
Where we do have a couple of teams still left in contention.
Yeah, these are a couple of them. We'll start with OpTic first, the North American squad. We've seen all three North American teams play today. That's quite cool.
Yeah.
OpTic going to be coming up, and I mean, this has been a little bit of a struggle for them. This has been a tough ride for a team that still isn't very secured in kind of what they're looking for. But at the moment, I mean, they seem like they still have some ideas. They still have some coordination. It's just there's just something missing.
That's the final touch, right?
Yeah.
It's that final polish that you need to work out, and that's obviously, I think that's going to be a remaining problem for them, leading all of out through the major cycle really for them, because I don't know. They haven't seemed to really have any sort of evolution from the point where they picked up Jason R. They're still very much the same discombobulated team that still makes the same mistakes over and over again. So I'm not sure how much effort they've actually put into actually working out those kinks. And if you're not going to do that, then
This is what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lack of clear leadership just magnifies all other problems, right? Not just in-game leadership, but having a leader figure within the team, someone with a lot of authority, right? Then you have those small mistakes in communication, in timings, in rotations, and then everyone gets a little bit frustrated, and maybe someone stops talking or they talk less, and that just again makes everything look worse than it actually is. So for right now, it seems like they're sticking with Jason R as the in-game leader of the team, and they're going to have to find a way to work it out, at least in the near future.
Yeah, suck it up for just a couple more months till after that major cycle. It just feels like some of the players just haven't. They've dipped individually because there's just a little bit of confusion in that team cohesion aspect of it. Their opponent's going to be Na'Vi, another team fighting cohesion and fighting some issues with how this team wants to operate as a five-man unit. You can see there, I mean, these names, we've known them for so long. We've seen them in finals. We've seen them win finals. Guardian, Simple, Flamey, Seized, Edward. They've been around for a while. It's just the same kind of story as we just mentioned with OpTic. Something's just not going right.
Yeah, and again, I think it's the lack of leadership, and obviously what it does to a player when he has to adapt to a new role. I think it's very obvious that Seized is not the same kind of a player that we saw before. The lineup change just happened before he had to step into that role as an in-game leader. I think it's a shame to see, because you know what kind of a top level he can have, but I think it's very far and few between, like, when you see those kind of performances in. That obviously weakens Na'Vi as an entire team. So even though you have gotten a player like Simple into the squad, who is obviously a magnificent individual performer, that doesn't necessarily elevate the team higher, because the overall net gain isn't that big.
How do we make of this? This is a very, very curious kind of situation where Simple just seems to have dropped off, where he's not at that level that we're used to seeing him at. And it seems like he's done that in an effort to become a better teammate, which is like great. It's always what you want to see. But has he gone too far that route? Has he sacrificed too much individually to try and be this kind of a better teammate, to fit into this system that they want to try and make work? Does he need to be a little bit more assertive?
I don't really think so. I mean, you could look for maybe openings within the system, but when you look at it, you can't really expect people to win tournaments, or at least to do it consistently with just individual performances or a player basically carrying into that. Even New York, as we see now in hindsight, was a one-off for Na'Vi, right? Based on individual performances more than anything else. So you need to have that structure in place. I mean, we see the, fall of the super teams, basically, like Fnatic, like G2. They're struggling to even be contenders for titles, let alone like actually win an actual tournament. That's because we see a dominance of teams who have a lot of structure, who have a lot of things that they can fall back on, who don't have like individuals carrying them, like Astralis. Okay, FaZe probably isn't as good of an example, because for them individuals do step it up when they go on to win titles, but you basically just need to have much more than just, okay, 2 of our star players are going to have 30 frags. Sure, that will win you maybe a map, a series, probably even a tournament in the long run, but you will not be a consistent contender relying on individuals.
Well, both teams need to bring a little bit more. Give me your vote. Which one is going to do it? Which one do you think is going to bring that little extra? Is it going to be OpTic? Is it going to be Navi? Put it in the YouTube chat. We'll keep track of that.
You should do the I want you.
I want you.
Oh,
to vote in YouTube chat.
There's going to be so many more votes now. I see it.
So many more votes. They're just flying in.
If we come into day 3 and you're wearing an Uncle Sam hat as well, I don't know what's going to happen.
That's actually not bad. I mean, we are in the States. Last time we had a tournament here, yeah.
Yeah, you and I, we had a couple of nice little props.
We did have some props. We had that giant flask. That was quite cool.
God bless, put good use to it.
Yeah. Well, here's the veto. We're going to have Cbble coming up.
Oh, God, why is this happening again? Why is this happening again? Why is Navi banning Mirage against OpTic? What is this? Idea. Why is this a thing?
Well, remember, Mirage is a map they've had like that love-hate relationship with, where they have just looked, their defense on that map has been atrocious. And I mean like the worst defense we've seen on that map in a long time during different periods.
Yes, and OpTic has had a hate-despise relationship with Mirage, basically. I mean, okay, jokes aside, Nuke and Cash for Navi are pretty much a standard veto these days. Yeah. But when you look at their performances on Cbble recently, and even since this team, like kind of when they switched coach as well, from the beginning of the roster change, basically, Cbble has not been as strong of a map, not anywhere close as it has been for the all roster. While Mirage in the beginning, especially for example the New York tournament, it's been one of their best maps, right? So I really wonder what makes them go for this, because OpTic is definitely going to be more comfortable at Cobblestone than they are on Mirage.
Ben, I know you got a point to make. I gotta show you some hate here. I'm gonna take it away. I know you had something exciting. The players are getting ready. The match is about to go live. We're gonna send it over to Blue and Dazed.
All right, thank you very much, Moses. And yes, our last map of the day is going to be over here on Cobblestone, a battle for survival, possibly between Navi and OpTic Gaming. Both teams, unfortunately, have not been bringing their best to this event, despite their best efforts. They're hanging out just below the top 3 currently, so still having to fight to remain in contention for playoffs. Yeah, and OpTic's map pool, I mean, they used to be a great train team, used to be a great overpass team. What are they vetoing here? Train and overpass. Yeah. You know, it's just really gone down quite a few levels from you know, when they did have like a lot of success. So we are going to see Cbble. I think they're a decent Cbble team. Could see a good game here, but just the vetoes, right, are just so different from when they were, you know, with the top level team. Yeah. Well, now we are getting back into the swing of things here with OpTic. Starting off on the CT side, we'll see how the defense fares. This is where things unfortunately fell apart pretty quickly for them in their last map versus Mouse Sports, but Navi have their own set of issues, some of which OpTic may be able to take advantage upon. And we're going to start off with a nice kill from Jason R. That's going to get traded off pretty quickly, but Mextral just getting that reload in on the nick of time, finds the trade for it, eliminating Flamey and then following through with an additional pickup on the Simple. He should be able to hear Guardian pushing him as well, but he can't win out that last 1v1 he needs, so he'll finally end up going down to him. But Guardian is split away from his last remaining teammate. His C just gets bulldozed upon by Rush, moves his way into the window flank there, taking him out, and now leaves Guardian alone. Thankfully, he's got the bomb, but in a 1v3 and in a moment he's going to be flanked out. This is going to be tough. A nice headshot against Naf opens up an opportunity for him, but as he pushes his way in, there's Tarek from the flank to finish things off and give OpTic control of the pistol. Yeah, smart move by Tarek and Rush there to retake that drop zone control away from Seized. They both just jump in there. Rush actually killed him, I believe, from E-Box. I believe that was the guy that killed him, so they make sure they get that kill, and then they could, you know, do the 3v1 properly. Tarek moves into middle while he's coming out the long A. Good move by him as well. Navi, despite moving in there, are not going to go for the buy again here in the second round, so probably you can expect that third round investment again. They've been doing that third round buy every game we've watched so far. On the CT side and T side. That's been a consistent thing for them, and they didn't even get the play in first round, right? So, nope. Yeah, so they're not even going to have that bonus if they don't get it here. They pretty much invested nothing, so getting that second plan is going to be a little bit tough. Jason R could be a bit of an easier kill, as he's checking downstairs here, and he's now giving himself away. So spotting the play, moving in, still able to get at least one kill before going down, and does decent damage to Guardian, who is the player that actually eliminates him. And yeah, there's rushing for the plant. They try to deny it, but no, it does not happen. Seized, sneaks it in right in front of the shed there. They'll still get utterly shut down by OpTic, but it doesn't really matter, with Guardian having a bit of an awkward moment at the end there. But still, OpTic are going to shut out the run, get themselves the second, but Navi get the plant, which now enables the full capability of that third round buy on T side. It doesn't just do that as well, you know, they also get a lot of info. They know they have a Mag 7.
they could use that info very well. Usually people mag 7 drop or close broken or close long A. So they're going to have that information. They're going to have to watch out for that. But, you know, good nade damage maybe could be a possibility here. They know they have a couple umps. And obviously they're going to have a much better buy now than they would have had.
Yeah. So they end up funneling their players through into the B halls into essentially just your default setup now. Everyone's sticking together. Good nade tossed in. Guardian able to avoid some of that damage by getting out of the way, but still ends up losing about 1/3 of his health pool in the process. And now leading the charge towards Strop, but there's going to be resistance from OpTic. A mistake, though, is now it's just Naf with a shotgun, and he also falls. A huge chain reaction, which is going to kickstart this take for Na'Vi as they attempt to move in. Jason R with a good response, though. He'll hop back in, but it's a bait as it works out great. Edward is able to punish Jason R when he attempts to go in through the window, chasing down that kill. Trade from Tarek, at the very least, holds off the platform push temporarily, but he also gets a little bit too aggressive with his playstyle and ends up going down to Edward. Rush is now the last man standing. Surprising as he leaps out from the cubby and even gets the second one, too. Only losing 1/3 of his health in the process. We can still win this one out. Tries to go for the third one, but his aim is just a little bit too high, and Edward will be able to finally take him out, and with a nice 3K on the round.
That was just such a poor drop control strat there. I mean, if anybody's toward drop, they're going to push through that smoke and be up close and have a giant advantage unless you... Like, first off, the mag 7er should have been the one getting up there. Not sure why they thought that was a good idea, but gets punished, 3v5 right off the bat pretty much. Rush almost salvaging it, but, you know, Na'Vi taking pretty early control.
Yeah, and once again winning out that 3rd round bye, which has actually worked out, I think, almost every time they've done it so far. At least that we've seen on the stream. I don't know about their other matches that have been off stream. But Naf going to be first up the bat here. He even impacts too, gets himself out of the molly and almost gets himself that second kill. Simple's down at 18 HP after he's able to get the trade. They'll toss the guns back just to avoid anyone else from OpTic from running up past A long and to be able to retrieve that. Keeps the gun in safe territory for right now. But the rest of Na'Vi are kind of frozen, waiting over there in the B halls for their attempt to actually make a take at this one as they sit back, running the timer down, trying to see if OpTic are going to plan any more aggression here. Holding out mainly towards A-long, but they've also got Tarek waiting behind that box. And in the second seized, I'm sure, is going to check for that on his lurk here. Clearing out slowly up to the broken wall. And now Tarek in a second should be able to spot this. And there we go. It doesn't matter though. Seized on point is able to pick up the kill on a Tarek. And now that is an open bomb site for these guys to take advantage upon. The 3 remaining players in OpTic are going to try to push on these guys that are still outside of mid. But I think for the most part, they are going to miss their cue. So won't be able to successfully take anyone down from the backside as they rush their way over towards B here. Na'Vi going to be able to get that plan, and now that they're set up, it's going to be pretty rough for any one of these remaining players on OpTic to be able to pick anything up. They may, by the circumstance of this situation, be able to find 1 or 2 more players on the exit, but that would be it. That would be the most that they would be able to retrieve. Besides that, Na'Vi is going to be able to make their way out of this round in a relatively clean fashion and tie this up at 2-2. Already eliminating Jason R there, and that's their clean route out, so I imagine most players are going to follow through upon that one. Mixwell still just waiting up on top of Drop here. He'll probably have to go in, once again, looking for those additional pickups, but there's nothing really to be gained here. So he goes, thinks he can get seized, but nope. Seized once again, holds on strong. As Na'Vi will claim that second round and tie things up.
Yeah, Na'Vi surviving with 4 alive, so gonna help the economy a bit. OpTic going to get an op onto Mixwell. Not the best nades on their part, though. Naf with decent utility, but, I mean, it's still a pretty good buy. But Mixwell and Jason R, we'll see. Against Mouse Sports, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mouse Sports, they had a pretty good A defense as well. And they were going up against these, like, initial attacks at B, and they held very well against this. And this is exactly what Na'Vi's going to do. We've seen this strat over and over. They get 1 player out on the platform, and then they execute behind it.
And right now it's Edward out already onto the platform here. Tarek, along with Nav, are going to be the main people to defend this. Tarek up front and center. He has not had the best of luck so far with trying to fend off these hits, and he's even going to have a smoke in his way in a moment here too. Right up on top of him, Edward, though, burned out. There's a great molly that gets in the way and really discombobulates the entire hit from Na'Vi. Definitely going to slow them down by a few seconds. Buys time for the rotate. Buys time for Jason R to set up in this flank position. Tarek hasn't even been revealed yet either, so he's in a great spot to find some impact when these smokes start to fade away a little bit. And here we go. Into the first kill. Gets the second. second. Gonna look for the third around the corner. He'll finally fall there, but Naf picks up an additional kill. The trade from Edward, but it matters not, as now they're in a 2v3 disadvantage, and it's just gotten even worse. All on Edward now in the 1v3 scenario. The bomb down way out on the site. Still with 50 seconds to play out here, too. Edward, probably not a hope in the world of doing this. As you can see, he's making a run for it.
Yeah, Edward was the one that was out at the platform as well at the start of the round. I don't know how he ended up watching the flank, but probably just got injured and kind of just bailed. But the take was just so disconnected. As soon as they wanted to go out, the mollies came. They didn't have anybody assigned to counter smoke out the molly, and because of that, the rotate's there. They're all set up, waiting for the site hit, and you're not going to have success if that happens. Just perfect counter nades from OpTic.
So, like I said before, Edward is just going to end up sneaking away from here, bailing out of the play to save the AK. Everyone else from OpTic will remain on the site. Won't be able to hunt him down, unfortunately, but also only letting him get away with one AK is not going to be too big of a deal. It's only that one rifle that they'll have to deal with going into the next round. Actually, looking at the money now, I didn't notice this too much before. Na'Vi may actually be able to try and force something up behind us. We'll see. More than likely, it may just end up being half buys, but it is looking like they're dropping a few guns. They will decide to go for this at the end of the day.
Yeah, by the time they're actually taking the site and pushing towards it, all the smokes are gone, and that's just due to just great nade usage from OpTic. Simple as that.
Yeah, and the split once again just into the default early on for Na'Vi. OpTic also pretty similar split to what we've been seeing so far in the half. Not a whole lot of changes in the positions that these players are going to take. Jason R up front and center it, Long to defend that, and he'll have support from Mixwell right at the first cross point in front of the suicide step door. But for the rest of the team, they're stacking on B in their usual positions. And meanwhile, over here in the Na'Vi side of things, once again, they're prepping up for a little bit of aggression into the mid connector, but at the moment, just noise. It's 4 players out here this time, though, instead of the usual 3-2 stack that they have been doing. So there is a possibility they may want to try to change the game plan a little bit and start throwing that aggression over towards A. As Days had mentioned a few rounds back, OpTic were showing great control this part of the map when they played against Mouse Sports just 2 games back. So this is actually going to prove to probably be a little bit of a tough cookie to crack, but Edward starts us off. He may try to push back in. Flashbang timing is perfect, though, and Jason R does get a bit greedy, goes for the second kill. That's where Cbble will spot the trade and bring things back to a 4v4. I think the bomb may have been spotted, though. So we'll have to try and play off of that intel. And actually, no, with the bomb going down there, I don't think it was actually spotted out, so they should still be good on that part of intel.
Yeah, but Tarek is on that platform, so he has a lot of information. He's going to be able to spot deep into B. That's going to allow the 2A players to be there. It's going to make things a lot more difficult for Na'Vi.
Yeah, and Rush should have been able to hear these guys dropping back down inside now. It doesn't matter, though. Guardian with just a walkout op kill against Rush. And that will cause Tarek to bail the heck out from his position. He'd be open right there, and he even gets hit, too, by Guardian. He's able to translate the kill, though, as Tarek moves in to take down Guardian. But just a second later, Flamey is going to move out, eliminating Tarek. And bringing this back down into a 3v2 situation. Na'Vi with the control of the site, and the rotates from OpTic still very far away. Only just now have Mixwell and Naf arrived from over in mid. They don't have a great amount of angles or even utility to try and play this out with. Na'Vi with great control, but actually wouldn't really be too surprising if both these guys just decided to bail out and evacuate, or at the very worst, just set up for a few exit kills, as now they've retrieved a second op. It is looking like they're going to play the economical game here and retreat so they can have those both for the next round.
Yeah, it's a really good decision by OpTic to save these double ops and just live to fight another day. And that was just Na'Vi just getting trade kills. I mean, and just as simple as that. They got every trade kill. Guardian gets the opening kill onto Rush, really, in the 4v4 scenario after the first initial trade kill. After that, Tarek gets a kill, but then guess what? Traded afterwards, 3v2 post-plant. So good stuff from Na'Vi, but nice trade killing from them.
And so we'll end up at a tie scoreline once again, as taking a look at the chicken wall. That always happens every round for some reason. Never understood that. Just not an important thing to fix, really, when you think about it, so it's not too surprising. But Naf, right up in the front and center of the push against Na'Vi, is able to pick up the first kill, and Tarek finds himself a second one working with Rush. Now Naf moves in, picks up an additional kill with the op, and Rush also shuts down a second kill personally for himself. Cbble going to try to turn this around in the 1v5, but the entire hit just got completely decimated. So we'll have to see what exactly Cbble can do, and it's not going to be much. He's completely overwhelmed with utility, and off of that, OpTic will be able to return the favor and take back their lead.
Yeah, so far Na'Vi's, aggressive B strats where they go off just right away or just getting shut down. We saw Edward going out to the platform, the execute behind it, gets completely shut down. Now we see it again, just a full B rush there, really. And Naf just pops up on the platform, gets the early entry, goes back to maybe it was Pizza or something like that, gets another one, forces Na'Vi to a save.
So Na'Vi are going to move forward over here to the mid choke point. And Mixwell, with a smart decision here, he just does decide to back up, as he would have very easily gotten overwhelmed if he was here for this actual push. Now on the outside, he can have a lot more impact. Already 2 kills to his name, and the nade moving in. They're going to be able to dodge most of that damage. But Guardian finally trading that kill doesn't matter. However, as at the end of the day, it is brought down to just Guardian alone in a 1v4 scenario with only a P250 to play off of. In a moment, as soon as he peeks here, unless he can have some clutch shots against Jason R, he may find himself dead on the ground, and OpTic finally getting themselves a bit of a secure lead, going up 5-3.
Yeah, smart by Mixwell there. Senses that there's no nades going out, realizes it's an anti-eco round, just smartly gets out of there, gets those 2 kills, sees exactly what the strat is, and from there, Jason R Rush get 1 apiece. Now Guardian just going to try to, you know, maybe see if anybody gets aggressive, kind of chill out. Probably talking about what they want to do next round, to be honest.
Guardian.
I have a feeling it probably won't be towards B. At least earlier on in the round.
Probably not. I mean,
you would think.
Yeah.
You would think.
Even A, though, they've been having their struggles, just at the very least getting like 1 for 1 over A long. Okay.
Yeah, but 1 for 1's good. That's fine. Trade kill. You get a 2v2 post plant, you trade kill 3 frags, probably going to win the round.
Mixwell, again, like we were saying, with a smart decision to back out, he was able to capitalize and get this pretty big impact from over here, and even the nade doing a decent amount of damage too. But getting back into the swing of things here now as full investments do start to roll in for Na'Vi once more. They will have to make some sacrifices to get that buy. As you can see, 2 Galils, very, very limited utility. They basically just have smokes and flashbangs. There's not going to be any HE, there's not going to be any mollies. Try and clear out parts of this site. Problematic for them if OpTic decide to play a more passive style of gameplay, but they've been pretty front and center with their defense for the most part, so that shouldn't be too big of an issue for Na'Vi, as they're just playing into a default again here on the 9th round. They're just kind of spreading out. Again, nobody wanting to take any risks within the first 20, 30 seconds or so. They are just kind of posting back and delaying. Can try to move in at a better timing here. And the boost up from Mixwell is actually pretty nice. They can just spot over the top of that smoke. However, again, with everything being quiet, they do need to make sure, since they're the only 2 here, that they're also checking out on what's going on back over towards the ramp. And in keeping to that tradition, Jason R is going to end up getting boosted on top, where he'll camp out and just have his teammate to watch out for the A-long pressure. From over in the alleyway, too, which is going to give Na'Vi a little bit more clearance to go for this push. Seeming like at this point, though, with them down at 40 seconds and the player positioning not really changing up too much, they're probably going to end up going for some sort of a drop split or possibly even just a full-on fake to B. The actual execution rolling into A. We'll find this out in a second, as now utility starting to be used over on the A-bomb site. And Cbble wrapping back downstairs to work his way through ramp. This is Jason R's territory, however. And as they attempt to move out for that fake on B, it's instantly countered. Good trade from Guardian on the Jason R, and Seized also trades the kill on a Tarek, but the ruse is up, so it's no longer palpable for him to be able to go back into that site and continue to fake it. Guardian tries to go for an aggressive peek against Mixwell, but that's not going to work out. He's able to hold, and now with just 5 seconds remaining, there's nothing that Seized can really do. Just picks up the better gun and is going to hunker down and suicide to save.
Yeah, and I mean, even though Tarek only got 1 kill, he's kind of like the MVP of that round. He's just getting away with murder over at B plat. They come early B, he's destroying them. They don't go early B, he's taking B plat control, he's playing it by himself. That allowed a 3rd A player to rotate over. It allows more, drop presence if that other B player doesn't, he doesn't really need to support Tarek. He's spotting all the way to the end. And Na'Vi was 0 B, control at all. Tarek's just taking control of it every single round. And if you're going to allow them to just have deep info at B like that, it's usually not going to work out for you very well. That's some of the problems that happens, right? You go B, you get owned, right? Like twice in a row, basically. Those B players get confident, they start taking more ground, thinking that you're not going to come B, and all of a sudden you're able to shade players over to the other side. Look, and it's happening again. I know this round's more of an anti-eco, but this is becoming problematic for Na'Vi.
Yeah, As they will move in, getting a few players towards drop will find control there. They even use the nade to try and obscure their jump out the window. Doesn't really pay off though. Seas goes for the long dive into the site, and Mixwell, after picking up that kill, even has time to go back outside, punishes Guardian, attempting to go up the ramp. Just down to Edward and Cbble now, both detached, really with no hope in the world of pushing in. Edward's just going to go for a slow creep up this ramp to see if he can find anyone not paying attention and punish them. But ultimately this round, it's once again in OpTic's favor, and it's very unlikely that we'll actually see translation go the other way. Jason R already eliminating Edward, just one remains, and Tarek's already engaged him. It's Cbble, and he instantly pops that headshot.
Yeah, so this is the round that Na'Vi should know. They should be like, all right, this guy is just, he's taking B plat control every single round. We need an answer for this. Guardian's going to op up. Last time he opted up, though, he went towards A, and he was actually spamming like the door a little bit. And I think that, you know, kind of let Tarek know that, hey, I could, you know, just stay around here most likely for a pretty long time. Since the offer is towards A, if a rifle peeks me, you know, I'm fine taking a couple shots and probably staying alive.
Yeah, Navi's called for the their first tactical pause here as they've fallen behind quite a bit, 7-3, and have pretty much flatlined in their ability to make any of these takes successful. It's been all OpTic for the past 3 to 4 rounds now. It's going to be a relatively quick pause, as we're used to, though, here on land, so already back into the action, and we'll be jumping into it once again with Na'Vi going for another buy. A little bit better this time. They still have the Galil sitting on C's, but there's a little bit more utility in play as well. 3 mollies to utilize, still full smokes for the team, but OpTic also back up to that double op setup, so that's another thing that Na'Vi are going to have to worry about as soon as they realize that, I imagine, in a few seconds here. They're moving straight forward to try and get out towards platform early on, or at the very least trying to counter out aggression. The nade going deep from Tarek. Doesn't really connect for all that much damage, but meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Mixwell already has picked up the first kill against Edward. Once again, securing OpTic at 5v4. More damage done to Flamey, too. I think a nade tossed up over here. Hit him pretty hard. The molly, well, that's going to force him back. Knocks off another, like, 20 HP, so he's pretty fragile now as a result of that. They're really focusing on trying to be able to eliminate Tarek. As Cbble, like, pretty much knows that he's sitting in that cubby. But Flamey hit by another molly. Flamey, I think all the damage done to him has been just through utility so far, as he's been hit by 3 different grenades. So he's down pretty low as a result of that. And Guardian's a little bit angry, so he's going to move in, catches the trade kill. He does get wasted in the process, but at the very least, the trade's a trade. It brings things back down to a 4v4. As they attempt to move in, Cbble just barely saves his life in the duel versus Tarek. Takes him up from that cubby spot. But Rush trading one more and drop. They overcommit to drop, though. They put too many players inside. They do still have time, however, to get themselves back out into the open to defend the actual platform push, but they need to get here soon as Na'Vi is pushing back in, still with 36 seconds to play with. Great utility usage of the flashbang once again hinders the Na'Vi push, and Mixwell's able to utilize that to pick up another kill. He almost had himself a second one, but he did unscope at the wrong timing. Thankfully, he can correct that pretty quickly and move back in to pick up the last 2 as well. Beautiful stuff from Mixwell. He's on a roll, just dominating against Na'Vi right now.
Yeah, 13 and 4, early picks, playing very, very well. Look at him on the rotate. Nice shot onto seized.
This next one, these next 2 are probably the nicest ones here. Catches Guardian, a quick flick onto Cbble to close things out. 8-3, the pause so far having no effect for Na'Vi, and they'll be back down onto another half buy for the 12th round of the half. Na'Vi.
Yeah, I mean, they got early picks coming from Mixwell. Naf had that early pick as well on that B site. Tarek taking plat control. Not much is going right for Na'Vi here. It's multiple problems and issues right now, and OpTic playing very, very well.
Tarek once again sitting up behind this box and waiting for the push to come from his direction. Originally, he was going to get all of it, but Rush just saw the play now. Them going outside a window to try and change up their dynamic a little bit here. That's all going to leave the defense on a Jason R, though, and he's been pinched on. This is going to be rough. He's got to be very patient and try to keep his anonymity for as long as he can. I'm in this corner position. The rest of the team trying to rotate back in, but they're going to face their own string of troubles. For whatever reason, Mixwell is the first to go through the door with a deagle, and he gets pummeled on by Edward here. Jason R has moved in, though. He strikes first, taking down Cbble from within this site, and now he's been able to group up with Jason R, so they have a 2-man flank team working from the backside. And also, you should note as well that there's still the 2 players in the site connector, so that Na'Vi actually only has 2 players currently out on this bomb site. But that's going to change a moment from now here as they're putting seized on Heaven. And that'll make the retake even harder to accomplish. Naf is essentially a non-factor here currently, still way over at B. All the pressure is going to be on Tarek and Jason R to pull off this retake, and they've already lost Tarek So as Jason R attempts to go in, he also falls relatively quickly. The setup from Na'Vi and the quick switch that they did works out so perfectly, and they're finally able to get another round because of that.
I mean, Na'Vi needed this. Like, this gets them back into the game. It was looking pretty bad for them. OpTic, unfortunately, not able to hold the drop control. I believe that was Rush in there. Just happens sometimes. You start spraying, you're like behind the player, and the player keeps moving, and you don't move your mouse fast enough, essentially, just to catch up with them. You just keep like your natural muscle memory movement, you know, where you're just going at the speed of the player model. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they just run right past the screen, essentially.
So with OpTic still having confidence, they try and close in on a few more rounds here, and they'll have themselves. I mean, this is already a pretty successful half for CT side, but if they can pick up 1 or 2 more, that's going to basically seal the deal. Nice shot from Mixwell early on as he once again finds that aggressive pick. And once again, it's been Edward that gets knocked out by it too. I think that's like the 2nd or 3rd time that's happened to him in this half.
Yeah, over and over again. Mixwell just making impact.
Guardian looking for the trade over at long. Misses the shot, though. Just trying to think. Oh, nicely done. Hits that one, despite the fact that he gets flashed. The perfect timing against Jason R. And he is able to translate, bringing things down to a 4v4. That's going to propel the rest of the team to actually fall back a little bit. They're working their way into the B halls this time, weighing their options over there. But OpTic did rotate upon this. They've got 3 players over in this A site now. Only Tarek sitting in B to hold. And he doesn't have that usual aggressive spot by the box that he's normally been playing from. So he also doesn't have great intel about where exactly Na'Vi are taking this either. That's going to change in a moment, though, as Na'Vi are not trying to hide their intentions. Smokes and everything are being deployed into the B bomb site as they get prepped for an execute. It's a good thing Tarek did not stay up there either in the cubby or behind the boxes. He'd be getting burned out right now and might just be another player dead on the ground. Now's his chance to shine. Cbble is trying to spot him and he succeeded in it. So now the pressure's on for Tarek as they're all going to be hunting him down on this push here. Guardian trying to move forward, tags him through the box down at 10 HP and then uses Flamey to get the job done. Cbble carries through with a 2nd kill. Now the only one to save things so far, but he's doing work. Brings us down to the 2v1 with Guardian finding that kill though. It's now into a 1 versus 1. Naf needs to 4K this to save it. Guardian able to dodge him for right now as he rushes past, but Guardian's running low on time. Only 15 seconds remaining, and he makes the smart decision, gets himself in a drop, and is going to hightail it over to A, where he should have... Actually, no, he doesn't have enough time. He's got to go back into B, chase down this kill. Naf has spotted him, but Guardian only needs 1 shot here. Naf's just trying to hide, delay this for as long as possible, but no! Guardian gets it done with 2 seconds left and wins out the round for Na'Vi.
Wow, what a clutch by Guardian. Oh, man. That was so sick by Cbble, by the way. I don't recall like ever seeing that before. He just sits there and just jumps and jumps. Yeah, that was so smart. I mean, it has its risks, right? Because it delays the take a lot.
Yeah.
But after he spotted Tarek, I mean,
they played it perfectly to eliminate him.
Yeah, that was sick.
So that's actually going to break OpTic going into this 14th round too. So all of a sudden, Na'Vi have their way back into the match. As this should be a relatively simple round with the investment that OpTic has, although with the Deagles in play on Mixwell and the shotgun from Rush, that could be a few issues for them, especially if they don't account for it. But we'll wait and see with Na'Vi kind of playing it nice and slow again, running down that timer, stacking up the exit to those B halls. Just waiting to see if they'll get any aggression from the OpTic side first before they go for a commitment, and having Edward toss in a few smokes to keep that 2nd player over at A and not allowing him to rotate in the other direction. Tarek is also probably going to end up being the first man at bat here for the CT side. Flash going right into his face. Gets time to look back. It actually picks up the kill. Only at 4 HP though, so he needs to evacuate. And he will keep it himself alive. This Molly's actually really good too, as yeah, Rush is not going to be nearly as effective at that range. And Guardian is able to translate the 2nd kill into Tarek after he burns out his opponent. Flamey knocking out Jason R. Nice and clean really from Na'Vi here. This is great stuff from them. Mixwell attempts to impact, but it just gets destroyed by Cbble. And then Flamey finds that last kill over in the B halls.
Yeah, and Na'Vi winning those, not that round, but the 2 rounds before that. You know, one with the Tech 9s, where they go drop to A, uncontested. Well, actually, not uncontested, but killing Rush and then going uncontested towards A. And then, you know, the Guardian 1v1, right, kind of brought them back into this game. Now OpTic 8-6. They have no op or anything, which has been a huge benefit to them. I mean, Mixwell's been making it 4v5 constantly. Now they're just stuck on rifles.
Na'Vi going to end up splitting up their player count again, and OpTic trying to get a little bit more aggressive for this final round, specifically over towards A. Again, Mixwell is the player trying to force himself into that mid connector, but he can't really stay there for very long. due to the nades and whatnot that are being tossed in from Na'Vi. He is pushed back outside. Still wants to play into this angle, though, and he's got to be careful. You saw that simple just barely missing him as the bullets go slightly to Mixwell's right. But in a moment, they are going to move back in. He does try to pop flash this. There was another flash, actually, that hit them in a much worse fashion. And now he's going to try to pop it off again, and it works out great. Has the angle on the Guardian, just barely gets the kill. Could have capitalized on it a little bit more if that spray was cleaner, but it doesn't matter. They've found the impact. Naf gets another kill into a player moving in from drop. Mixwell is going to be able to strike once again, and that's 2 more to his kill counter. As now it's down to Edward, and he won't get very far at all. OpTic shut it down and secure themselves a 9th round to close out the half. They have the advantage, but now they need to close it out on CT side. So stick with us, ladies and gentlemen, to see if OpTic can do it.
ESL Pro League is brought to you in part by Intel, Lenovo Legion, Xfinity, ESCA, Pay Safeguard, Mountain Dew League, Logitech G, and Zowie.
Na'Vi are able to push through on CT side, and now they hold a decent advantage, 9-6 in their favor against Na'Vi. Jumping over to the T side, they need to make sure that they can solidify things quickly, as Na'Vi as well could swing back on the comeback. It'll take the lead from them and possibly the map and maybe even a playoff spot. But we are jumping into it immediately, so let's take a look and see what OpTic have to offer us on their T side. Days, what are we going to be looking at here for the second half?
Well, OpTic had a really good CT half. I mean, they've lost a couple rounds that they really should have won as well.
Yeah.
That 1v1 at the end, Guardian versus Naf. You know, Naf, if he stays chicken coop, wins that, right? Instead, kind of went out into the open. They lost that Tech 9 round, so that could have been like an 11, 12 round half easily.
But unfortunately, they end up being a little bit closer, and this is a very divisive scoreline. Na'Vi win this pistol and don't get ecoed second round. They're right back into the match at 9-9. But if OpTic win it and clean up, they double the scoreline of Na'Vi. It's going to be rough and then to make a comeback on. They also find the first entry here on their T side, so that's good for them. Terra continues that conquest as well inside of that little inside of the shed to try and chase down those kills and does some decent damage to Seize. Now he's got Flamey. Perfect timing on the push. Goes for a third pickup, but finally he's going to meet his match against Guardian. He's delayed them so much, though, and he knows that there's at least 1 to 2 more players hiding in that hallway, so OpTic can use that intel to great depth. As in a 4v3, they've got the ultimate advantage. Guardian with another nice pickup against Jason R, though, has opened up a way for them to get back into this round. Nobody's paying attention to that broken wall, so Edward sneaks in, but he doesn't get anything done. And Mixwell cleans up on the last 2 kills to secure the pistol for OpTic.
Yeah, the A-site defense gets breached, and Tarek is in the, you know, we call it just the rat hole, usually. Yeah. It's just really T-sided shots, probably overpeaked a little bit onto Guardian, but hey, they took the site, got the bomb down, and it's a very difficult retake. Naf at the bottom and middle as well, just kind of waiting for his opportunity to strike, also watching the flank. Now we just see a drop in B-rush right away.
Naf trying to swing into it here too, checking that corner. He's spotted Seize, so down Seize will go. There's basically 0 investment from Na'Vi as they're probably going to do that 3rd round buy again, so this is a pretty quick cleanup coming in from OpTic. Already down to just Simple, trying to do some work, but can't finish off that 2nd kill. They do eliminate Naf, but he got a double kill on the Mac 10 as well, so he probably earned enough cash to be able to rebuy. Yeah, he'll be perfectly fine, and now will come that 3rd round investment again from Na'Vi.
Yeah, well, we're going to see 3 FAMASs, 4 FAMASs. Flamey. 5 FAMASs. They love the FAMAS, man.
Yeah. Not once for the ump by, it seems. After that got changed a few weeks back. But now Na'Vi are going to proceed straight forward into a 4-man stack on B. And they even have the 5th guy, like, on just a second's rotate notice, too. Simple's going to be sticking over by the doorway. He's kind of shifting around right now, but, you know, relatively close to the doorway, which means he can be there in 5 seconds or less if needed. And OpTic are trying to brute force their way in here. This thing, though, is they should know, though, they really didn't even have to do their homework for this one, as Na'Vi made it very obvious that they're continuing to do these 3rd-round buys, regardless of the side that they're playing on. So in they go, and it's evenly traded for right now. Rush takes additional advantage, but Flamey trades it right back. He's going to look for another pickup, but he loses to Mixwell, leaving just Simple alive in this engagement for the 1v2, trying to creep out, but doesn't even realize that Rush is right in his face, and he'll end the round in OpTic's favor, as they push forward and double out the scoreline of Na'Vi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just worked for him, right, up until this point. Yeah, 3rd round bye. I mean, even worked on T side because they were able to get that bomb down.
They lost it one other time that we saw. But.
Yeah, I'm not that much of a fan of like the FAMAS, like 5 FAMASs there at least. I just think it's a lot better if you have, you know, maybe 3 FAMASs, a Mag 7 and ump. You just get more utility and whatnot, and you can have a couple players playing up close more.
So another attempt at a quick cleanup coming back in from OpTic, although they did bite into the full 5-man stack, so there could be some problems there, as they've actually got the 2-1 trade advantage. They'll slow things down a little bit now with Mixwell picking up the additional kill on Simple. They've evened it up, but hold on now. Guardian finding another frag on J-Snar. This could be upset territory here, and this could be where Na'Vi finds a path back into the match. Mixwell also down at 1 HP and Rush at 15. They've got to be very, very careful now, and that's not the way to play it. Rush out in the open, flashed out, eliminated by Edward, leaving Mixwell alone to clutch this at 1 HP in a 1-on-3. He smokes himself off so that C's can't just walk right up and take him down. Definitely suspecting that he's on the steps right now. They just can't confirm that. They don't want to give him away if he's close to any of these players. Mixwell, in the meantime, trying to slow this down. Nicely found on the headshot there on Edward. 2 more to go now, but now they know where he is too. Tries to flick on the Guardian. He spotted him for sure. Just needs to be able to push back in and finish things off, as now he's going to start to take a few more risks. Looking for C's. He's got his head. I don't know if C's saw him, though. He's still ducking down, and no, looking the other way. Mixwell's now got the 2nd one. Tries to bait Guardian into peeking. Hasn't gotten it yet, but oh, he spots him a second ago. Goes for this very risky play, too, of hopping back up. Guardian's going to hear that from a mile away. But how is he going to try to chase this one down? As Mixwell should have time to be able to go all the way over towards A and plant. He definitely will, yeah. Guardian only really just now realizing that he's not coming back to the site. So that is going to give Mixwell the additional time to set up over an A and actually attempt to clutch this one out. Still, though, at 1 HP, Guardian just needs 1 bullet to close out upon this one. He's got the AK to play with now, but Mixwell so close! Brings Guardian down to 32 HP. But in an open 1v1 battle, Guardian will indeed win that out, as he only needed the 1 bullet to find the final kill on Mixwell.
I mean, just basically a full save coming out there from Na'Vi. Mixwell with like 20 HP almost ends up winning that 3v1. Plays it really, really nicely. But, I mean, their anti-eco for 3 rounds in a row, essentially, was just rush me and drop.
Yep. So Na'Vi right into that. Full 5-man stacked it, and it worked out for them, as OpTic got a little bit overconfident with their ability to win that one.
Guardian at 20 frags, by the way.
Yeah, like...
Nobody else even in double digits.
This is some vintage Guardian right here.
Yeah, Mixwell 24 and 8, though, so...
To start off this round, we're probably going to end up seeing OpTic try to move in for some A-long control early on. Right now they just have Mixwell on a solo lurk towards B, but he's very quickly going to back up from that one, I think, group up with the rest of his teammates. Na'Vi, again, you have to mention here, too, that they're back onto the full by result of winning out that last round, and they've got everything they need. Not even really using a whole lot of their mollies or smokes early on in the round, so they still have a lot to try and resist OpTic here when they eventually go for this push, which is probably going to be over towards A at this point. They've got Mixwell set up for the pinch and drop, but they've got also players positioned to counter that. Mixwell's hoping someone will go in to drop the check for him. He also has to watch his flank, as C's is waiting right outside of the window. Don't think he's actually going to get anyone to move inside, as Na'Vi have a pretty accurate read on this situation. They're even going to rotate over an additional player now, swinging Edward towards the A site to add a 3rd man to the defense here. And in the second, that's where they'll make a slight mistake, having seized also move over. So now Mixwell can move in and actually have decent effectiveness. Nice spot by Naf, though. Just gets that, takes a few attempts, but he does get the headshot on Simple, and he follows through the second one, too. Flamey is keeping it alive for his team right now as he's up on 3 kills. Mixwell going to leap out. Bit of an awkward exchange with his opponent. Here's the thing, though. Seas is rushing up, and he's going to get an easy kill on Jason R. So now he can just hop onto the bomb. Mixwell has to race over here. He goes onto it at first and jumps off it. That's bought the extra second here now for Mixwell. He's going to try to take him down, and he succeeds. So OpTic follows through and resets Na'Vi.
So if he just got the kid, do you think he wins that?
Maybe. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I think he does. No, he definitely does, right? Because he started defusing, he got the kit, and then he came back onto the bomb. That had to have taken 2 seconds, and there's 2 seconds left. Had to have.
So a slight misstep cost them the round. The round which could have very well put them right back into this match too, as that would have for sure broken OpTic and put them onto a pretty low buy, which Na'Vi could have taken advantage on. And within a few rounds where it's something like 10 to 12, where Na'Vi's right back into the match. But now OpTic are back into having control. Yeah,
I mean, Na'Vi shaded the extra player there too as well. They basically had 3 players a day. Naf just, I couldn't even see that player back site, could you?
No.
Yeah, I couldn't even see his head. He just...
It was Simple. They took down behind the shed there.
Yeah.
So he was able to spot that, and he even had the first bullet accuracy fall off happen there too, because it took him like 2 or 3 shots to actually hit it. So that was a crazy spot for being at that long range. Nice flash from Na'Vi. Not going to affect too much though. Just delays them for the extra couple of seconds here. And it's going to let Guardian try to creep up a little bit closer to the broken wall. Mixwell still patiently waiting, and OpTic obviously still have plenty of time to play this off. 50 seconds remaining. Guardian going to go for the peek, does confirm the presence of Mixwell and possibly one other player, but as he moves in, he's out in the open, so goodbye to Guardian. Possibly goodbye to this player boosted up too. Everyone just destroys that tree. And Simple just barely escapes, but he's not going to stay alive for too much longer. Naf is already pushed all the way up the sidewalk. He's holding in that little cubby there. Sees with 1 trade. Matters very little in the grand scheme of things here. It's down to Edward and Flamey to try and maximize the damage. And Flamey on that flank actually has managed to pick up a UMP. But still, the amount of effectiveness he can actually have here is going to be minimal, especially now that he's been spotted. So we should expect OpTic to follow through, claim their 14th round. With just 1 or 2 more gun rounds, push themselves into a victory here.
Yeah, and it just seems like Na'Vi hasn't had much of a chance just because of the economy on the CT side. I mean, they 3rd round bot. They won the round that they pretty much full saved, but then lost the 1 gun round that they've had so far this half. And it's just been a lot of, you know, gimmicky type buy things or force bots. And they haven't really had a chance to play with like full utility or anything like that. So they're going to take a pause, take a timeout. You know, they have to think if they want to go for overtime or not. If they full save here, they'll end with about 2,400, or sorry, 4,300, 4,400, or they could get, you know, full buy, or excuse me, not a full buy, but a little ump or pistol armor buy here.
That's such a long run, though, at this kind of scoreline, having to do 8 rounds straight.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like they're going to sway towards the buy. But even the buy is going to be pretty pitiful. Everyone's right at 2K right now. So the best they're going to have is Flamey with the ump, and they can maybe toss an extra gun over to add some utility to another guy. Quick pause taken by Na'Vi, though, as they are going back into the round, and we'll see in a second how they're going to play this. Few small investments. It looks like they're actually trying to save a little bit here. They're not going to full save, as you can see. They're going to nade stack somewhere with the triple nade buy. And it looks like that's going to be over towards B, so probably just trying to get a good timing on the B play, and actually the full second again. This is where they upset before. So can this actually happen twice? Or has OpTic learned from their mistakes previously? And it is looking like OpTic take it nice and slow here, as they know there could be some craziness going on with Na'Vi attempting to do something just to keep them in the game. So they'll play this back, and they'll be no strangers to wanting to wait down this timer a little bit before they go for the commitment. Jason R spotting the first attempt to try and push back up and get aggressive here. That's a nice nade toss. Actually goes way back and hits focused pretty well on a Jason R. Unfortunately, he's still alive, he's still well, and with the dink of Edward, it's going to give him the fuel to push forward and try and eliminate some more. He's managed to take down Cbble. Flamey does trade one back off of the UMP, but he's got a lot more work to do here. Finds the second kill on Tarek, however. We're even now into a 3v3, and Flamey still has that ultra-aggressive position up by the broken wall. The problem is there's only one more player trying to push out through broken. All the rest of them are going to come out drop, and that's where he doesn't have a great defense system set up for himself. He's got Edward to watch out and basically inform him from drop, or from the rock, excuse me. But at 19 HP, he's going to be very easy to take back out, and yeah, Flamey doesn't even last too much longer after that. Naf and Mixwell both picking up those extra kills, and was Seized rotating in off of a measly P250. He's going to make his best attempt to clutch this one out. Obviously, the odds are not looking great, and he will just go down to Naf, putting OpTic up to 15.
Mixwell is just playing out of his mind. 30 and 8.
Only 20 rounds in, too. We're not even that late into the half.
30 and 8.
So Mixwell's been having himself quite the game. Following close behind him has been Naf, who always seems to really show up actually in these like bigger matches, especially for whatever reasons I've noticed, specifically when OpTic. This is like when they were doing like really well, but specifically against Astralis, he's really good against a lot of the big European teams, and that's showing well here against Na'Vi. But OpTic push themselves in through mid. Flamey just getting a nice double off the start though, so that's not looking good for OpTic. The bomb's also down on the ground. And with Tarek responding, actually a nice shot through the smoke there. It does take Flamey back out of the play. He looks for a second one as he's boosted up on top of Naf. Can't find that kill though, and he needs to make sure he stays alive. They can't have any more unnecessary losses. Jason R with the smoke fading. Oh, the timing on it worked out a little bit better. He may have been able to find C's, but he's now safely tucked away inside of the alley. There's so much defense set up over here on this A site. They do not want to go for this push anymore, but C's nonetheless will find Jason R when he attempts to lurk back out. This is now down to a 2v4. OpTic have all the time in the world to play this. It's just their hard-headed is to continue going for A is going to be their ultimate doom in this round, it seems. He will still try to push into it. Nice shot from Naf again, knocking out Seized here, but heavy cost. He's now down at 10 HP. After getting hit in response to it. And Tarek still at A long as well, really just hoping someone pushes into him that he could punish with the op. But Na'Vi are freezing, focusing on just staying alive and preventing OpTic from getting control of A.
This is actually smart. If they save this op, don't let Na'Vi get it. That's a smart play by them. Just don't die, Tarek. What are you doing, man? Just don't give him the op.
Good flash and molly combo to get himself in, but he is going to go for this now and attempt to make this play. His teammate, though, is way over in B.
Over at B.
Yeah, so they're going to try to fake this with one man alive. And Tarek making massive impact, moving in. He does get flanked out by Cbble, but Edward, so smart. He's already read into this. He's going to move in. Doesn't even let them get the plant as he denies it. Takes out Naf, and there we go. Na'Vi still close out on the round. The fake doesn't even work.
That almost worked, though.
That could have been, if he somehow knew that guy on ramp was there, that could have been crazy. But
yeah.
The real issue would have been, I think Edward was going to either site regardless, even if Tarek got that other kill, so Tarek would have had to just race over to the site and try to kill him before he defused again. So heading into the next round here, OpTic still have the cash flow to buy in. No longer they're going to have an op to play with, however, they actually definitely could have gone for it, so this is a choice they've made. And they still have a few players floating around like a little over, a little under 2K, right around that mark. Tarek, somehow that molly wasn't hitting him. Even though it looked like it from the corner of my eye. But he smokes it out anyway to stay safe and to not take any more of that unnecessary damage. Still, Na'Vi super aggressive with their mollies and smokes.
Yeah, I mean, they're, Guardian's gonna take this B plat control, and I don't think they can stop. Whoa. Never mind, Blue. Just a nice one tap through the smoke. Well, not really one tap, but spam through the smoke takes out Guardian.
So goodbye to Guardian, as we will start to see OpTic push in off of that kill. Edward's so blind, but nobody's paying attention to the steps. Thankfully, Edward doesn't get any kills, and now Seized is low as well here. Jason R and Tarek finding those entry kills, almost securing the match here now. It's up to Flamey as he's alone. Surprise out from Chicken Coop. That's the one free kill. The rest he's got to work for, and he can only get one additional pickup. Tarek will close it out, and OpTic Gaming are going to take this match on Cobblestone against Na'Vi with a final score of 16-8. They push through and gain themselves one more win here in the group.
Yeah, I mean, Mixwell, honestly, usually don't just say one player won the game, but he just played out of his mind. I mean, he opt, he rifled, he clutched, he entried, he lurked, he closed out rounds post plant. He did everything. He was just on fire.
All right, so with that said, we're going to send it back over to the analysts to break down this match.
Yes, thanks, Blue. Welcome back to the Xfinity Analyst Desk. Big win for OpTic. No one really, I mean, maybe see it coming, but that's kind of a scoreline 16. That's a huge win for OpTic. Navi is going to be kicking themselves if they don't make it through this group, based on the fact that win is so, I mean, that loss is just so painful.
Yeah, and the fact that they let through Cbble.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's been a recurring theme. Is just like, why are they letting Cbble?
Why?
Yeah.
Why is this still happening?
They're like the only 5 or 6 people who think that they're confident.
Do they have to lose to what energy in this group on Cbble? Was that what needed to happen for them to kind of, you know, not play the map? The worst thing is they had a good alternative in Mirage. I really don't know what that was all about.
Well, I mean, let's get, you know, Veneta, your thoughts on this kind of a situation. Mixwell had an incredible game.
Yeah, and again, I think what Sam said, you know, as his closing thought, just kind of rings true. It's not often you can say one player won the game for them, but it kind of felt like that was the case. Mixwell just had an outstanding game. He was hitting ridiculous shots from, you know, every vantage point of the map, pretty much, hitting people flying left and right. And obviously he did so in, you know, the most opportune times of the game as well to, you know, break Navi's economy, solidify OpTic's economy in the same scenario as well. So just an overall amazing game from the Spaniard. Yeah,
and here's the cool thing as well. With that win, OpTic's actually helped Liquid out, because if Liquid is able to beat North, it's a very close match down to the wire. If Liquid wins this over North, then they are going to make it through the playoffs in the 3rd seed. So we're actually going to send it back to the boys in the studio. Take it away.
All right, thank you very much. And yes, we are preparing now to dive right back into this next match here. Liquid taking on North. It's very much in progress, so we don't know much about how it's actually going. We're going to have to basically figure this out with you guys as we do dive into it. And well, there we go. Liquid about to close out and get themselves up to round number 15. Cajun B, the last man standing, attempting a clutch, but it's not going to happen. So Liquid win it out, and they're going to push forward up to 15 rounds. Just 1 remains, but they are going to have to go up against the full buy from North.
I mean, Blue, you want me to start talking here, but I got nothing to go off.
Yeah, I mean, Liquid are looking pretty good themselves here. Still at the bottom end of their economy for a few players, but it's still going to be enough to buy through even if North wins out this round. But they're up against the wall. A perfect group for North would be the case if they were able to close in on this match. But where has this Liquid come from is the real question. This is not the same one we were seeing before, and this is not the same North, who seem to be crushing everyone in their respective group. We take a look here now at what the potential last round strat is going to be for North. Probably just going to be pushing most of their players in through A long again. They do have a few guys set up right outside of drop and B, so there's potential for either another fake or just a usual drop split to happen over there too. Team Liquid getting very aggressive, but there is a slight overcommitment to this B bomb site at the moment that they're going to have to read into, putting a lot of pressure on Stanislaw, working on the secondary out there. He's been showing up with a really good individual performance for most of these group stages, though, so you don't want to underestimate his ability to actually hold this off, should he be the lone man to defend this.
They don't need to have him by himself if JDM's opting B plat. Like we saw all the time, right? You have that op around B plat, you could shade over, put 2 towards A, and have a 3rd guy like ready to go. That's what they're doing now. Now that JDM, well, he did have control, but he's leaving it to a leash.
Stan spotting it here now, just waiting for them to go. He's focusing fully on the alleyway play. He has a team support coming in from both Nitro and Twist as well. Nice shot from Stan. Nitro with the second. As he moves in, it's 3-2 on the trades. North only just now finding a couple translated kills for them. A 3rd will roll in from AZ, but now he's alone. And we'll have to pull off a 4K to clutch this one out. Securing himself the real estate to be able to go for the plan, at least, as Elige is taking a few extra seconds to complete his wrap over towards A long. And AZ with the pretty good position to play this off of as well. Just needs to be able to line up those last 2 headshots. There's the opportunity for 1, but he ducks, and that gives away his post-plant spot now. He's got to get a little bit more creative with it out into the open. Brought down low, but still picks up the kill against Elige, and now he's just trying to waste time here. The nade out, trying to distract JDM so he can mask his movement a little bit, and as he pushes forward, he's got it lined up, but he bails away from it, and JDM's going to get the kill off of that. So he'll move in, grab the defuse, and with that, Team Liquid are going to win out versus North, 16-10 here on Cobblestone. Once again, yeah, not a whole lot to add there, Taste. Unfortunately, we saw like 2 rounds of action. But yes, once again...
I got it.
You got it?
It was just great execution on the part of Liquid. Really great team play there. Not about the individual performances, but you know, it's about the team.
That's what matters at the end of the day. It's the team play. And with that, Liquid have been able to win it out against North, crush their potential perfect group. So let's send it back over to the analysts to finish up the discussion on Group B.
quick return back to the Xfinity analyst desk, and yes, that's Group B. Liquid with that win. They get helped out by OpTic, kind of them, the North American brethren, getting that win over
Gotta
Na'Vi.
stick together.
Yeah, allows Liquid to secure a spot in the playoffs. Takes 2 North American teams to get 1 through to the playoffs. That's quite cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than none, right?
Yeah, it's better than 0.
Easiest prediction of my life.
Yeah, you did call it, but you didn't seem too confident. Confident now.
How confident am I supposed to be? I told you Liquid is going to make it out of the groups.
Either way, that's going to be North in the 1st seed out of Group B. That's going to be Mousesports in the 2nd seed out of Group B. That's going to be Liquid taking that 3rd seed, as we said.
And it's going to be Na'Vi sent home.
Yeah.
I did not. I kind of had hopes for Na'Vi. I don't know why.
Don't we all? I feel like, yeah, we all
I don't know why. There's no reasoning behind actually having hope for them anymore.
I think it's very similar to the likes of G2 and Fnatic, right? You see so much talent, firepower, individual skill on that
so much
team.
pedigree as well.
Exactly. So you're all kind of, you think they're predetermined to have success. But unlike Fnatic, for example, for whom we've been saying that they've actually looked good even in their losses in tournaments and they're dropping out in group stages, Na'Vi actually didn't look that promising in some of their losses, and this is the 2nd tournament in a row where they basically get knocked out by a North American team, right? They had that loss to Misfits in a best-of-3 series at DreamHack Tour. I mean, those are some very, very scary results.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking. I think that's the big thing is Misfits now OpTic, so they're gonna be crushed for sure. Let's take a look at the standings in both of the groups, Group A and B. Now that both are completed, G2, Envy, and SK Gaming were 1, 2, and 3 from Group A. North, Mousesports, Liquid 1, 2, and 3 from Group B. That means we're saying bye to the likes of Fnatic, the likes of Cloud9, Na'Vi, OpTic. I mean, those were 4 teams that we thought might have a chance to be battling for some spots. They didn't make it. Energy and Immortals, you know, just a little bit. Energy especially 0-5. They're gonna have some rethinking to do when they get back home, but that's going to be your standings from the group stages here at the ESL Season 5 Finals. Anything kind of stick out as I know we've kind of touched on this a little bit throughout both of these days, anything kind of stick out as a surprise, perhaps?
I think Envious is the obvious one. I definitely didn't expect that much out of them, especially with how they kind of just scraped into the LAN finals, you know, on the very last day, beating Astralis 2-0. Obviously, beating Astralis 2-0, no small feat, but I definitely didn't see this coming out of the Frenchies. Pretty much like the leftover squad, funnily enough, and they're still showing that they can be extremely competitive when they have to.
Yeah, that's quite nice.
I mean, Na'Vi and Fnatic are probably the obvious ones, but we already touched on that. I think Mousesports is a surprise to an extent that they just are confirming basically the form in which they're in and that they can actually translate some of the performances we've seen online to LAN as well. You have to remember their one loss has been to Northern Nuke in an overtime, so they could have easily ended up being 1st in this group.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very solid play overall. I just keep remembering when I was here over in LA during the NA regular season, I just kept seeing the updated standings from the EU side, and I was thinking like that has to be wrong.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's still wrong.
There's no way.
Still wrong. Like, Mousesports was just constantly, you know, top 2 the entire season. I was like,
we thought the same thing.
Yeah.
We thought the same thing in the European division, so it's confused a lot of people. So this means the matchups for the semifinals, or I mean, excuse me, for the quarterfinals, it's going to be Mouse taking on SK. It's going to be Envy taking on Liquid, and then waiting in the semifinals, obviously, is going to be G2 and North.
Life is hard for Mousesports. It's like you performed great. You were a couple of rounds away from a semifinal bye. Your reward is play SK in a best-of-3 series in an actual playoff match. Have fun with that.
Yeah, that and we've been mentioning it throughout this group stages. No matter, I mean, SK dominated the first day, looked a little bit rough today, but I mean, everything has kind of been just saying SK is a completely different animal once they get into series play. Once you get into best-of-3s against this team, it's not the same as playing them in a best-of-1.
Yeah, exactly.
Colt still hasn't shown up.
Yeah, no, he still hasn't showed up, and you know, I think it's just waiting until the time is right to strike. It's like that kind of a predator, right? So
snake in the grass, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, Mousesports is not without chances in that matchup because their map pool actually fits very well towards SK. SK's strongest map right now is Mirage. That's something that Mousesports can play really well. And after that, it's a question mark for SK Gaming, right? Out of the other maps, they themselves are unsure what's their, for example, 2nd strongest or the 3rd strongest map. So there is an opening there for Mousesports, even though obviously SK are the big favorite.
Yeah.
Perhaps the slightest of openings. We'll have to see what Mousesports is going to bring. We'll find out exactly when that is, though. Let's bring up the schedule, let you guys know exactly when these matches will be. This is going to be tomorrow. So the first quarterfinal is going to be Mousesports taking on SK Gaming, and then Envy taking on Team Liquid. That'll be the 2nd quarterfinal tomorrow. Did I say semifinal? I meant quarterfinal. Yeah. Either way, those are the 2 games that we're going to be having tomorrow. Then we're going to take a 1-week break, and then we'll see everyone in Dallas over the weekend. Make sure you guys show up. Make sure you guys support your teams. We'll see you there.